just dropped this morning, so you can go check it out at Jubilee's YouTube channel. And it was one populist, that's me, versus 20 Democrats and Republicans. So why did I do it that way? Because we need to convince people to come over to our side, and we need to be real, and we need to deliver for them. If you just make them BS promises and then you never deliver, nobody's interested in that, okay? So what I want is real left-wing populists to deliver the things that American people absolutely love. And I don't really even care what label you give it. Because if you look at our populistplank.com, those are all things that we all agree on. So left, right, and center. So no more wars, get money out of politics, lower drug prices, higher wages, etc. Right? So those are the things that I pounded away at on Jubilee. So I want to talk real quick about one of my favorites on there, who did a great job of challenging me. And I also want to talk about one of the controversies that came up. All this as quickly as we can. And then we'll probably bring up some clips for you guys and watch it together on TYT. Watch parts of it together on Monday's show. You know, we do the show live 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern every single day, Monday through Friday, right? So I'm giving you this update on the weekends because Jubilee just came out. And my Habibi House podcast is also coming out tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern. They're a great bunch of guys who talked about Israel, Gaza, and all the horrible injustice there, broke down the talking points of the Israelis, gives an interesting Muslim perspective too, so make sure you're checking that out. So I'm back to Jubilee. Look, I'm stunned that there are still young people, any people that are defending the Democratic establishment. They kept debating me on, well, you know, we got a little bit past, and you know, maybe 5 or 10% is not so bad. No, guys, that's just to mollify you. It's to appease you. For God's sake, don't give in to that. Okay, demand more of your politicians. And if you're on the right, why does Donald Trump claim to be a populist, but then he gives away $1.1 trillion to just people making over $500,000? As the point I made to the right wingers I was debating is, if you like the crumbs he threw at you on temporary relief on taxes on tips and overtime. By the way, the tax cuts for corporations and the rich are not temporary; they're permanent, right? So, but even if you like that, why don't you just go for that? Why do you have to also sign on for tax cuts for the rich and taking away, health insurance from 12 million Americans? And if you're on the left, for God's sake, don't settle for corporate Democrats. One of the guys said, well, Joe Manchin's, we really need Joe Manchin. No, we don't. No, we don't. In fact, because of that, we put a T-shirt up on shoptyt.com saying, I intend to offend Joe Manchin. We also have Look Up T-shirt, and we have this one, too, which is Team Hope. So many others, too. But anyway, the reason we did Look Up, and I warned on a show a couple of times, is because, guys, the problems, and that's the whole point of the Jubilee episode, too, is not problems you have are not created by the guy to the left of you or to the right of you. They're created by the people above you, okay? So the donor class is the one creating all these issues in the first place. They've manipulated the entire political class to support foreign governments like Israel, to support giant corporations like ExxonMobil, the oil companies, Big Pharma, Pfizer, all those guys. They get nonstop breaks, nonstop subsidies, and the American people get nothing. So, look, I thought Zena, who did the debate about DEI, actually did a great job, and I really like her, and I respect what she said. Now, I don't happen to agree with her, and it's a longer conversation about why I think DEI and affirmative action are now counterproductive when they used to be, when they were logical in the beginning, right? And part of the reason they're counterproductive is they divide us based on race, and it gets people thinking of people in racial terms. And it also takes away the credit of so many minorities who more than earned it, because people get to dismiss it as, oh yeah, they only made it because of affirmative action. And that's toxic, and it burrows into our minds. But that's a good, interesting conversation, and we'll continue to have that conversation on air. And I thought she did a great job, and I really appreciated that. When people come in to debate honestly and make good points, I love it. There was another guy, Oliver, that I asked to come back up at the end, and he did a good job too. And we talked about how some of the social issues, of course, are super important, like abortion. And by the way, there again, 7 out of 10 Americans agree with us on being pro-choice, on not taking women's freedoms away, right? So if we talk to whatever you consider the other side as decent human beings, who maybe, by the way, got the wrong information from watching the wrong media sources, whether it's right-wing media or mainstream media, or these days, some of left-wing media, right? So in mainstream media, they told me how great Ronald Reagan was. I believe that when I was a kid, and that's part of the reason I was a Republican when I was young, right? But mainstream media loves the corporate position. That's not true. But if you've been brainwashed into thinking corporate Democrats that give you 5% of their agenda are angels, you'll be shocked to find out, no, they're not angels. They're actually working with their donors to make sure that the 95% of their agenda never gets passed. If you like their agenda and that's why you're a Democrat, great. You should be, right? Or you should be on the left. But you have to hold them accountable. You have to make sure that they actually pass that agenda. If they don't, it's just marketing. It's just PR. So don't give in to that, okay? So, and then some folks brought up personal issues, you know. But on that stuff, guys, part of the reason I was pissed about it was that I thought we were debating the actual topics. So two of them went from debating the topic of, hey, you know, proving my point or not, to, oh, I'll use that as an excuse, as a jumping off point to attack you about the union or the fact that you took money. I don't think any of that stuff worked at all. You know, you look at the comment section and the usual suspects are like, oh yeah, union busted, right? And the rest of them are like, what are you guys talking about? So they had a vote, and then he immediately honored the vote after it was done in a way where there was a third party involved. And then we've had the union for 5 years. So what are you're talking about some old nonsense that lasted for what, a couple of weeks? Because, by the way, when they brought in the IATSE and they said, hey, we did a secret vote, as I explained in the episode, some of the employees came up to me and said, we were kind of intimidated. I don't like that. And I said, okay, there's no way I'm going to let anybody be intimidated. So let's just have a clean vote, third party, and let's have it tomorrow. And the minute you guys have a vote, and it's one that's verified with no intimidation on either side, then let's have the union. And they had the vote, and it was 9-6, and then we had the union the next day. I mean, like, what kind of a sorry-ass union buster immediately says yes to a union once there's a clean vote? There was no intent to bust the union. There was and look, guys, if you say, oh my God, you should have accepted card check, etc., no problem. Then you believe in card check, and I've got my issues with it. Because when others at the company say that they didn't feel comfortable with it, I'm not going to ever allow that. No, people are going to be comfortable with it. And once they were comfortable and we had a real vote, then we're happy to have them. Look, I think for small companies, they don't make as much sense. But we manage. You know why, by the way? Because of you guys, the members. You carry us, guys, but you also carry those guys, everybody who works at TYT. There's a whole bunch of people at TYT that are union, that are not union, etc. But we all love you guys. And you are the ones that we do this show for. And me and Anna are not the only people doing this show. Are you crazy? First of all, we have about a dozen channels. Make sure you check out Damage Report, Indisputable, Rebel Headquarters, TYT Investigates, etc. But we also have so many people behind the scenes who do wonderful work. And I love those guys in the union. So, and we have the most amicable negotiations. We've had 2 of them. They've been doing it for 5 years. So please don't listen to the haters that just tell you their perspective on something that happened for like a minute 5 years ago, and they're still bitter about it. It's just, okay, I can go on and on. But look, part of the reason that why people attack on personal issues is because they don't have anything to counter. Hey, shouldn't we obviously unite on things we agree on? No one can defeat that point. And believe me, a lot have tried. No, we shouldn't unite. We should yell at the other side and tell them they're racist and we hate them. And that would help get paid family leave passed how? It's sitting at 84%. No one, and the Democrats say, oh no, we can't pass that. But brother, if you say that your politicians that you love and are voting for can't pass a bill at 80, that's polling at 84%, you're basically saying, I expect nothing from them. I think that they can't pass anything, and I'm perfectly comfortable with it. I know that when they tell me that they're for something, they don't really mean it, that they'll get in and they'll say, oh, there's nothing I could do. I only had 59 senators. I only had 60 senators. I only had 51 senators. I only had 98 senators. There was nothing I could do. No, expect better, expect more, expect them to serve you instead of their donors. And if you're a Republican, guys, you think your Republican politicians don't serve the donors. Come on. They told you they were going to cut defense, and what they do? They added $150 billion to military contractors. Both sides said, that, oh, we're concerned about Israel and what's happening in Gaza, right? And what they do? Biden gave them another $20 billion. They just gave them another $500 million just last week. Trump is giving them everything they want. Trump is greenlighting the ethnic cleansing in Gaza. As former Israeli prime ministers, former heads of IDF, deputy director of IDF, and so many others are coming out and going, yeah, it's a genocide. It's obviously a genocide. Former IDF soldier, Israeli-American, top Holocaust expert in the country is like, it's obviously a genocide. So when your politicians say, oh, there's nothing I could do, I had to back Israel. But wait a minute. The great majority of the country is against what they're doing. The great majority of Democrats are against what they're doing, and now a majority of Republicans are against what they're doing. Why did you have to back them? It's the donors, largely corporate donors and foreign governments, right? So for God's sake, let's all together wake up, okay? These politicians are not your friends. You've got to hold them accountable. So that was a huge part of the reason for the Jubilee. Oh, one legitimate critique of me is, yes, I get too loud. Does that happen from time to time? Yes, it does. Do you see me like going crazy here? No, because it depends on the circumstance. And so what happens in Jubilee, by the very nature of it, is that they keep interrupting. And when they do, my nature is to talk over them, because Republicans have been interrupting me, when I go on joint interviews for 20 years now. And their strategies to interrupt and filibuster. And so I'm now at a point where when people try to do that to me, I steamroll. In this case, they constantly interrupted, but that's kind of the format. So if people were bothered that it was too loud, I get you, brothers and sisters. And I do. And by the way, sometimes I'll do it on my own because I'm so mad about the genocide and the starving the children, etc. But as you'll see in many other interviews, which, by the way, go to tyt.com/press, and you'll see all the interviews that Anna and I do outside of TYT, okay? And you'll see there's so many places where I'm perfectly calm. It depends on the conversation we're having, and it depends on how the other person is reacting. Are they interrupting? Are they filibustering, etc., okay? But anyway, either way, guys, I hope you enjoy it, and I think you guys are gonna like it. And what's funny is that in the beginning, like, the haters came into the comment section and they're like, oh, we hate Cenk, blah, 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 right? And then as soon as the episode actually started going, people are like, wait, I kind of like what he's saying. Wait, what he's saying is so logical. I mean, maybe he's heated, maybe he yells from time to time, but it makes sense, right? And by the end, people are like, wait, this is unfair. What he's saying is so obviously true. How can anybody debate it? Good. Good. Then mission accomplished. All right, so we'll break it down more on Monday with clips, etc. I see that some folks have dropped shoptyt.com in the comment section. So you click there, check out the shirts for fun. But also as a message, guys, look up, look up. That's where the real problem is. It's not to your left or right, and it's definitely not below you. An undocumented immigrant that came in with $1 in his pocket is not the guy controlling American politics. The guys controlling American politics are giant corporate donors and foreign governments. That's why we have to unite to beat that donor class. I mean, if you were unaware of it before, I mean, we just gave $500 million to Israel in the middle of one of the worst genocides we've ever seen in our lifetime. And the vote was 422 to 6. Do you see, both Democrats and Republicans don't represent us because they're politicians. It's time for the voters to stand up and see for themselves, fight for themselves, and unite enough to be able to get those bills passed. Eyes on the prize. If we do stuff where we get, status and privilege, etc., that is irrelevant. Oh, so-and-so won. Yeah, but did they do anything for you? Did they pass any bills? The prize is those bills. It's not any of the rest of the fake drama. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the Jubilee episode. Go check it out and come back and talk to us about it. You know, the viewers, especially the subscribers, are part of our show. So hoping to get your reaction to it on Monday as well. So hit the join button below on YouTube if you can to become a member. We read your comments and you're part of the show, like I said. And check out tyt.com/. as well. All right, guys, much love. I'll see you soon.